All right, so I'm here at Il Primo Espresso Cafe with Cody Weber. How you doing, man?
Dude, I'm great. Thanks for having me. Man.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad to have you. I'm glad we could
Yeah.
finally make this work.
Yeah.
So can you just tell the listeners a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, okay, so I'm Cody Weber. I grew up out in Washington State, so...
Long way from home?
Yeah, so I originally grew up in Pullman, Washington, hometown to Washington State University, so another WSU.
Yep.
And so I grew up in college town, kind of like a Manhattan, honestly. So
Yeah.
I like the agricultural state school.
I didn't know that, okay.
The veterinary state school. And long story short, I wanted to get out of town when I left high school, so I went off to Grinnell College. That's up in Iowa. Literally like 1,500 kids at the whole school.
What brought you there? I mean, what made you choose there?
Yeah, great question. I thought I wanted to play two sports. Thought I wanted to play baseball and football. The academics, at the time when I went, I think it was a top 10 liberal arts school. You know how they do like the top USA, whatever. And so I think that meant a little bit of something to me. Plus, it was the farthest school. I mean, every other school I was looking at, playing at, was either walking on or scholarship at like Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to get away.
Get away.
So I did, and it was wild. But then after that, ended up somehow getting an interview. No, I got an interview through a friend of mine at Cook's Wine Trading.
Yeah.
So that's
In
how
Wichita.
I ended up. Yes. So that's how I ended up in Wichita. I literally the spring of my senior year, back at 13, came down here, went through the interviews. Kind of funny. I didn't know a thing about commodities trading.
Yeah.
Not one thing. Like before the interview, I tried to study up on it because I was an econ major. But nothing specifically finance, nothing specifically commodities trading.
Okay.
So get that job just from, I guess, the way I interviewed.
Yeah.
And then came down here in 13 for that specifically. So jumped straight into the world of, I was just an entry level analyst.
Yeah.
So that was fun. But basically, more about me. I'm 29. I turned 30 this year, which is pretty wild. I've got a wife. We're going to be married this August, will be 6 years.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, so super excited about that. Still owe her the 5-year anniversary trip that we're working on. So, and then we've got 3 beautiful children and 1 on the way. So, so got kids to keep us busy. And then we also have 2 foreign exchange students living with us.
Do you really?
So,
wow. Where are they from?
Two 17-year-old girls from Poland.
Wow.
It's a trip.
Did they know each other beforehand?
I think they knew of each other. They weren't sisters or anything like that, but they knew of each other from like camps. So they're living with us, and then my father-in-law lives with us as well. So it's a party, man. Yeah,
it's
between
always something
TP
going on.
and all the family, I kind of just got my head down and come up for air sometimes.
That's
it's
cool.
Good.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah.
Cool. So in football, you stuck to college football.
Yes.
Were you always, I mean, obviously pretty athletic if you're trying to play 2 sports, but were you always like a gym rat? Were you always in the weight room? What did that look like?
Yeah, great question. So I don't know if I was, okay, I guess I was. So I from a young age, probably middle school, I was always just begging my parents to take me before school to play basketball at the gym, at school. I was the kid who was always, and I think the best contrast I use is just like my brother, right? My brother and I both played sports. He was 2 years older than me, but I spent a lot more time just in the gym working on stuff. Like let's say basketball, right? Just because basketball seemed to be the easier one to work on my own.
Sure.
So just me in a hoop and shooting.
Right.
But as time went on, I think I became obsessed with the whole lifting thing, working out, strength, performance, all that kind of thing, sport performance at a young age. I will say I'm way more apt to work hard than work smart, and that's probably been over the last since I became obsessed with working out at like age 12 or 13. Like that's been the biggest thing is over the last 17 years is learning how to work smart versus hard. And honestly, now applying that to everything I do because I'll run myself into the ground kind of in unhealthy ways, but that's probably been the biggest thing to learn. So, but I guess in a way, I've always been a gym rat in that sense.
Sure.
So
cool.
Yeah.
So you mentioned you had an interview in Wichita. So did you know, was your friend in Wichita, or how did you know anybody here?
Yeah. Okay. So I played ball with him at Grinnell.
Okay.
And shout out Brian Taylor Jr. So he got me the interview, and so when I came down here to Wichita, though, I really just talked about how I didn't know anybody. I knew Brian.
Yeah.
I actually knew Marquise. So he's the owner over at Omnicut, Motivational Fitness, because I played football with him
Very cool.
now. Other than those two, it was just kind of wild. Like, you get out of undergrad and have any family here. I always told myself I'd go back out west. And if I'm being honest, like, I kind of felt like a sellout for even working for Coke, because I was always like the guy who would say weird things like, I'd rather go work for the National Forest Service in the middle of nowhere before working for corporate America.
Yeah.
And then I ended up working at Coke.
Right.
And I worked at Coke, for maybe a year and a half or something like that. That's what brought me here. And I think I got caught up in it's more money than I've ever seen in my life, right? Just because I've never made money.
Right.
And you have a salary coming from Coke. And professionally speaking, I knew it was a great opportunity.
Yeah.
I knew it was a great opportunity. So I really didn't feel like I could pass up. It was kind of a disillusioning time in my life, just not really knowing what to do next, I guess.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, not knowing what you wanted to do.
Yeah.
And
then I was in Wichita, Kansas, and all my high school friends were like, look, bro, the plan was for you to go to school and then come back to Seattle,
And
or all my other friends, in Portland or the Northwest, and I was just like, nope, I'm in Wichita, I'm here to stay. So,
Awesome.
So that's kind of what brought me.
Cool. And when did you and Jacqueline meet?
We met within the first, I got the job in August of 2013. We met a couple months after that. We met at an FCA camp. So I was like a huddle leader. I started going to church. My boss invited me to church at City Life.
Yeah.
And that was when they were in the Orpheum. So I went, and within a week or two, Kelly Thorne saw my FCA lanyard, because I'd been a huddle leader at different week-long camps for FCA before.
Sure.
And she was like, that's awesome, you've been a camp counselor, like, you want to come out and be a huddle leader for the weekend. I go, and all I remember is like, there's this lady jumping around and screaming about Jesus, right? It kind of freaked me out, because it feels like, it was, the camp environment, if you've ever been to those camps, chants and all sorts of things. That was a little different than I was used to, and I just remember being kind of scared of her, because she was just like so hype. I don't know what she called hype for Jesus. So it was pretty wild.
That's cool.
That's the first time I noticed her though.
Hey, that's a pretty good story though. That's awesome.
Right. It's pretty funny.
So going back, so you worked at Coke for about a year and a half.
Yeah.
Then what? What made you want to change? What made you need to change?
Yeah, great question. It was one of those situations I felt like, and looking back now with being a little bit older, being 29, almost 30, and back at my, 5 years ago, at my younger self, obviously I know that Coke has so many amazing opportunities. They've just got, of course, there are probably thousands of positions where I could have leveraged my strengths to be able to do an amazing job and just find fulfillment at Coke and just love what I did. But what I was currently doing, I was miserable. I mean, you know the game. 2 or 3 computer screens. I felt like the only time I was talking to somebody, they were yelling at me, or I was talking to traders who were over in Switzerland, and they weren't I didn't think they were very nice. But it was like, and you do that 9, 10, 11, 12 hours a day, and it's fine. I think the things I take from Coke is like, I learned very quickly that I could work a lot harder than I thought I could.
Right.
I learned that I was babied in college.
Yeah.
That in undergrad, as hard as Grinnell was, it was like, no. You can work a little bit harder. You're a young man. You've got some energy. You've got some focus, and let's go. It's time to go.
Sure.
So going into that, after that, I literally I basically jumped. One of my mentors told me he could get me an interview for an assistant store manager job at Best Buy.
Okay.
So, and that's actually Scott Meyer. So I went through that process, got the assistant store manager job, only spent 6 months at Best Buy before jumping out on my own. And so just kind of fast forward to there, it literally was like, I remember I was getting yelled at for not selling enough credit cards. And so again, this was like, I worked at Best Buy during a time when I owned a flip phone, I didn't own a TV. Like, I was kind of weird, right? I mean, I
trying to sell
was not.
technology.
Yeah, I was selling $7,000 home theater packages to people who I was like, you shouldn't be buying this, but here I am selling the TVs. Got yelled at by my district manager for not selling enough credit cards, and just over it, right? Even just 6 months in, it was my first experience in sales, running a sales team, running the floor, and all of that. Of course, I'm super thankful again now. But we were sitting in the waiting room. And we were going to find out whether or not she was pregnant with Boaz, my oldest, who's 4 now. And we had talked about it off and on. Sometimes I forget to say that. I act like I just told her, hey, I'm giving my 2 weeks, but it was a mutual decision. She was like, I'm down for whatever you end up deciding. You can have the final say, but if you want to jump, we can do this. And so I just told her, yeah, I'm going to give my 2 weeks. So I gave my 2 weeks at that point in time, not exactly knowing what I was going to do. It wasn't like I jumped saying, I'm going to be a personal trainer, let's do this.
Right.
It was more like I could either get a graveyard shift job at Dillon's, making $8 an hour, or I could hustle some clients and do something I know I'm really, really good at, which is people interaction and training and food. Like I know that, and I know I could make, you know, 20, $25 an hour doing that. So surely I could find a client or two. And that's how I got into the fitness industry full time.
Wow.
Because I've been doing it part time for just as a side gig for a long time, but full time, that was when I made the jump. Was when I found out she was pregnant.
Yeah, so how scary is that though? Starting a family and.
Oh yeah, but the funny thing is like that's not even the scariest part of the last few years. I think it was at the time, and at the same time, gosh, I look back and like I just definitely wouldn't recommend anybody go the route I did.
You learned lessons.
Right. I mean, like I don't know. Maybe it was how I thought I operated best. I basically took the leaps before. It was just looking back, like it was unwise. It was very unwise. I'm like, I had a wife. I was going to have a new baby. You know, my first personal training paycheck, my 2 week paycheck was like $232. You know, coming off of the Coke salary and the Best Buy salary, which was even better than Coke. And so, like the scariness, I think, came from me, looking at her and being like, I'll figure this out, and not really knowing how I was going to figure it out.
Right.
But kind of to move on from there, if I could. So I started out. I started out Optimal Performance.
For sure.
And I don't think I still have properly thanked Landon Langston and his wife Bethany for all that they've done for me. I need to stop by and talk to him, but just for putting up with my. I was a punk, man. I still am a punk, I think, maybe. No, so he helped me so much.
Yeah,
man.
Landon's awesome.
Yeah, he's amazing. So I got to be there like as an independent contractor, which means you own your own business, but you rent space from a gym. But he really treated me like he was grooming me to work with him, and he was very gracious with me, and he really helped me build very quickly. Like my limited experience, even at Coke and Best Buy, gave me a leg up on most trainers out there anyway, because there is that personal training stereotype that they're not professional, that they don't show up, that they don't dress well, that they don't respond to an email, that they don't know how to respond professionally. Yeah, they just know how to lift weights and grunt and like look really sexy and stuff. Like, no, that's, so I was able to, I guess, leverage the fact that I had some sort of professional experience.
Definitely.
And the fact that Landon was so gracious and so helpful and just teaching me what really mattered when it came to training clients, that I was able to grow really, really quickly. And so that within 6 to 7 months, I had a full schedule, training-wise, which means you're like 5 a.m. to 8 p.m. You maybe have an hour in the middle of the day. That's 5 days a week, and then you try to fill up your Saturdays and stuff like that. But so I would definitely credit my start to him and Marquise as well. Like I shadowed Marquise quite a bit at the beginning, and got to know him even better in a professional sense. But then he went off and started his own thing, so that's when I stayed at Optimal.
Okay.
But anyway, so that's kind of the beginning part.
Wow,
of how we got started.
Very cool. I think that's around the time that I met you. I met you at one of the Young Life banquets, I think. So
I think so.
I think that's where I first met you.
I think Lance invited me to the Young Life dinner or something, and maybe you were there.
I think that's where we were at the same table. I think that's where I first met you.
Okay, cool.
So that's where I kind of stepped in.
And then I think you even came for a workout one time, didn't you? And you come for a workout one time?
Yeah, we were members at Optimal for a little while.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah,
because we moved in 2016 and then came back, and I think then it kind of everything starts connecting.
Okay.
But, so then, how long were you there, and then what was the driver for a change from that?
Yeah, so the driver was me. So about the time when I got full of clients was when we had our baby.
Yeah.
And for anybody who has kids, and you're about to experience this, the first kid is the way we like to put it is the first kid, it was like nothing changed about my life, but everything changed about Jacqueline's life. Breastfeeding, up all night, all that kind of stuff, but I was still trying to work. Once the second kid came, then my world kind of got rocked because I was hanging out with the first one all the time and that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
But that being said, I was not very helpful at home. For the first 3 months, I was just, I'm still gone, 4:30 a.m.
Right.
Maybe come home for 30 minutes in the middle of the day, but like you can't do that to a brand new mom.
Right.
And so I literally had, it's funny but not funny looking back. Like, it was one of those things where I was blessed to have the type of community at River Community Church, just up the street from here. And our Bible study, the men sat me down and were like, hey, look, man, look, look at your wife. You can't be doing this to your wife. Like, you're good. We don't care what you do. Raise your prices, lose some clients, like get another job, like whatever you need to do. Like you got to stop this because she is at her wit's end within 3 months in, and so that was when I had a decision to make. Because when you're in personal training, and especially when you're an independent contractor, there's only a couple ways you can make more money in less time.
Right.
Okay. Because I'm sitting there, I'm like, wow, I'm making more money than I've ever made, having a full schedule. Because personal trainers, people pay $700, $800, $900 a month, right? And then obviously you get a percentage cut of that because you're paying out to whatever gym you're using.
Sure.
So I rented out a couple different gyms, and so you either increase your prices, you expand like your revenue streams. So it's like, do I want to start selling supplements? Do I want to start selling? I don't know, like an online product, like a done-for-you 10-week course online with videos and emails and all that, text messages, all that kind of stuff. Or do you want to just start like doing groups, like bigger groups to leverage your time and that kind of thing? Or do you want to be a gym owner? And so that was what I had to basically take a look at and say, all right, what's next? Because I can't keep this full schedule, but my personality is like drive, like grow, like never stop moving. So I decided to go the route of online training.
Okay.
Yeah, again, not recommended. so
are you doing this concurrently while training at an optimal?
Yes. So that started the process of like I started dropping clients intentionally, squeezing down my hours a little bit while trying to invest the money I was making into how do I do this whole online training thing? Because the obvious marketing draw of online training is, wow, you get to like have clients all over the world and they're super passive and like you're sending in workouts and checking in, but really you can have 500 clients and they're all paying you, thousands of dollars. And like, it's the big, that's the big draw. Oh yeah. But of course I ate it up because I was in a lot of pain, just in my marriage, right? Having a new baby, like what do I do? And so I went that route, and probably from 2016, spring of 2016, and it went all the way until August of 2017.
Okay.
And so for probably a year and a half, it was me hiring different business coaches, investing in different launches, trying to research things. At one point, I flew out to California to record a bunch of videos that I was going to do in a launch. But really all it was chalked up to be is a lot of really expensive mistakes. So like I probably spent at least $50,000 on all of this stuff. And so I was keeping my in-person training to fund my online growth and adventure where I had to learn the marketing side, I had to learn the fulfillment side online. And that was the route I went. So I ended up leaving Optimal Performance by the fall of 16, I think, and that's when I coached at Wichita Collegiate. Coached some football and while serving my non-compete and trying to do stuff online because I couldn't do stuff locally, so I was still trying to do the online stuff. But then over time, like honestly, with the online stuff, and my personality is so face to face, and that's what I've learned. I've learned that like as much as I want to do this whole virtual coaching thing, like I need that face-to-face interaction if I'm going to really make an impact. Because that was actually probably one of the reasons why I got into it. Is like I started realizing I have this skill. It's to connect with people and inspire and motivate with my energy and just my own personal growth that I can share with other people. What's going on, and I wanted to leverage that. And so the online training, you can only do so much through video. You know, like
Yeah.
you can do Zoom calls, you can do phone calls, you can send videos, you can message all day, but it's like, how do you truly create a connection relationship?
Right.
Like I believe so strongly that that's why in this world of automation and AI and technology, I really believe that there will always be a market for like the best of the best human services interaction.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because of the emotional connection that you can create with clients. Like I just don't think that's going anywhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's only gonna be it's gonna go somewhere for the people who aren't very good. But like, you know, that's why you have to try to be the best. It's
Right.
because, you know, that's anyway, that's probably another tangent. But I love focusing and just being obsessed about the client experience.
Absolutely.
Which is just like the relationship side, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Just a couple questions and
Yeah,
we'll kind of
yeah.
get into elevation and how you apply some of that people to people and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So you made kind of these pricing mistakes,
Yes.
but I'm sure you obviously learned a lot from that. So
Right.
what have you kind of learned from that you've used since then?
Yeah, great question. Because the pricing mistakes really was just the beginning. Because starting EP was even more expensive in terms of mistakes I made. So the biggest things I've learned that I apply today is that you cannot, to an extent, you cannot speed up growth. And when I say that, what I mean is I really believe in. I don't know if you follow a guy. His name is Gary Vaynerchuk.
Oh yeah, Gary V's a man.
Yeah, Gary V, right? I love what he talks about in terms of in the micro, you got to grind.
Yep.
But in the macro, you got to be patient.
Macro patience.
Yes, and that's something I've struggled with so much because I wanted it in 90 days.
Yeah.
Like everybody says
Right.
I should have it. Like all the marketing gurus say.
Yep.
And so that's a big thing I've learned is that that's a piece.
Yeah,
Another
absolutely.
thing that's been huge in terms of, like, for example, what I wish I knew when I started. I haven't always been obsessed with the client experience. I haven't always been obsessed with, what does it take to get somebody to truly change? Because what we're talking about when it comes to somebody who comes to see us has usually at least 40 pounds to lose. Okay, so we're not like a gym full of a bunch of super fit people, that kind of stuff. But when somebody has at least 40 pounds to lose, say they have 80 pounds, 100 pounds to lose, you're not just trying to get them to lose weight.
Right.
Your goal is to have them change their identity.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about behaviors that run deep because of the way they cope with stress. So maybe food.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about maybe is their sleep. They've been getting 4 hours of sleep a night for years and years or decades or whatever like that. So what I wish I knew was that, I wouldn't be able to figure out what truly helped people to transform their identity. Like that wouldn't happen as quickly as I thought it would.
Yeah.
So that I needed to take my time, do the testing, and I've done a ton of testing just over the last few years. But I wish that when starting out, I would have kind of slowed my roll when it came to just, let's get everybody in here because we have the solution, until we had the data to back up, okay, this is what it takes to get somebody to stick to their journey, truly change their identity, and get to their goals.
Right.
Because while I was very good at helping people lose 25 to 30 pounds in a short amount of time, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever like that,
Right.
There have been several people who have showed back up in my studio, and let's say they started out with us at 310, they left our gym 10 weeks after starting with us, because at that time we didn't know really what it took to help people truly change their identity, and they had lost 40 pounds, and so they're at 310, now they're at 270. Like, this dude walked in the other day and he's back up to 355. And so it's like, what does it truly take to get people to really change? It's not, let's just exercise and work out and eat right. It's like, it's got to be at the core of the human being. And so I wish that starting out, I would have took more time with that. And with that, because when you think you know something in business, you tend to throw more money at it.
Yeah.
Like, because I thought I knew what it took, I threw more money at getting more clients, because I was like, well, because I know what it takes, like, they're all going to stay,
gas on the fire.
Exactly. Yeah. And the gasoline that got lit blew up in my face.
Yeah.
Basically. So, well, actually, you know, and actually, if I could speak on that a little
keep
bit.
going.
So,
keep going.
so one of the things that I feel like has been it's so hard. Actually, I've hardly talked about this. But like we made some big mistakes in those first 8 to 10 months that I honestly feel like we're just getting out on the other side of.
Yeah.
You know, being a young business owner, going from a personal trainer where all I had to do was manage my schedule to having a team, location, just way different, right? An actual business model. You know, we started out doing this thing called the six-week challenge. You come in, you pay $500, $600, $700, $800, and you're there for 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever it is that we're doing for the promotion. And if you are successful, aka you lose weight, 20 pounds, 25 pounds, 30 pounds, you get that sum of money back.
Yeah.
Okay, so people were coming in. It was really popular.
Right.
Like I had tons and tons and tons of people join, and I had a lot of people be successful. But what I learned over time was that when I'm doing my marketing and when I'm getting this message out there of the promotion, like my perfect client actually isn't really all that. They're not as attracted to that as I thought they would be. Like I was getting people who wanted to solve the external problem, and what I truly desire is to have a gym full of people who align with my mission to solve the internal problem.
Sure.
The internal problem that I hear people ask all the time, and it's taken me a long time to figure this out in terms of how to communicate with the outside world. It's easy to with my clients because I can sit down with them and I can, you know what I mean, coach them every single day. And the internal problem is that you have a lot of moms and dads out there. You have a lot of people who are driven, disciplined, no nonsense, and yet they're super overweight, or they're exhausted, or they're just tired and they're strung out. They just feel like things are chaos. They don't really feel like themselves.
Yeah.
And they're asking that question like, am I worth the time and effort I know it's going to take to be healthy?
Sure.
Because we all know at the bottom of our hearts, we know it takes time, effort, attention to live a healthy life. Except what happens? You know, Susie gets out of college, finds a job, is a working professional, gets married. Things are going still okay with the working out. Then the kids start coming. You start getting extracurriculars once they get to age 5 or 4. It gets younger and younger every year. And then all of a sudden, 10 years out, and your kids are in middle school or in high school, and you've completely neglected yourself. And so a lot of moms end up answering that question with, no, I'm not worth it, because I'd have to sacrifice my relationship with my spouse, my job and career performance, my kids' relationship, and what I'm after is to like, what I wish I would have been after from the beginning. I think I had good intentions but didn't know how to do it. Was, you know, how do I help people reframe their beliefs surrounding that? Because now we see, and we have the data to back it up, that a healthier mom is a better mom. It sounds like common sense, and I know some people would be like, well, yeah, like a healthier mom is a better mom, but there are real trade-offs, you know, like, and you're going to experience it to an degree 100%. As well. Like, the kid's going to come, and like, just like every other parent, like, we want nothing more than to hang out with our little babies, you know, like, oh, there's nothing I want to do more than be a good dad and just a good husband and spend that time with them. But then it's like, wait a second, we got to work out at some point, or else we're just going to let our bodies go. So that was a big lesson I had to learn in a really hard way, because I got people in, but then in the gym world, one of the measurements we use is how many people cancel each month, called attrition rate. And so we, probably 8 months in, we had our first massive attrition rate month. And so it was just a learning process of, okay, we don't actually know what it takes to keep people, and so we had to start figuring it out. And because I thought I knew what it took, back to my first point, I threw money at it, which means my cost structure got bigger. And in the world of business, you know, revenue is, let's just use some round numbers. Let's say revenue is $10,000. You know, cost is $8,000 a month. So you're profiting $2,000 each month. As the revenue became 2x, 3x that, you know, oh, like I'll just 2x my cost because I already know what it takes, and so I'm just going to throw more money at it. Versus, you know, just if I knew what I knew back then, it's really not as expensive in terms of cost to care about people enough to create true relationships and to have great coaching. but obviously I've had to learn those expensive lessons, and now
Yeah.
I'll never forget them.
Right.
So
how did you learn all this stuff? So you found out. I mean, you had that big month of attrition.
Yeah.
So you're like, okay, we
Yeah.
need to change something.
Yeah. Right.
What did you were reading books, talking to mentors? What did that look like?
Yeah, I'd love to even get granular and disclose some of my numbers. So,
Sure.
so the first and foremost was what I learned is just numbers, right? So I had to measure what truly. I knew something was wrong when we had 3% of our members cancel in the previous month, but then I looked around and our attendance was like really low.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing I had to learn, a really hard lesson, was that attrition, cancellations are a lagging indicator. And all I mean by that is what happens first? People stop showing up, and then they send in the cancellation.
Right.
So we had super low attendance. I'm talking 1.3 VPM visits per member per week.
Sure.
Okay. And we highly encourage 3 times a week by members. Just to even get started, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I wasn't even measuring that the first 8 months or the first 6, however many months. And so we come to October of 2018, and I had 40% of my members cancel. Okay?
Wow. Yeah.
40% cancellation. November comes 24%. December comes 18%. January comes 33%. So the biggest problem was that when you make changes, things don't change right away, because you can make changes, but the people who are not coming are still not coming.
Yeah.
And even if they haven't been coming for 2 months, if they still don't come for 3 months, but they're still paying you, they're gonna cancel at some point.
Right.
And so that was like a huge wake up call. You know, I think the big thing in my industry is like, oh, yo, what's the biggest thing that you can do to help with your attrition rate and to really keep members around?
Yeah.
Because the way I see it, if you stick, for us, the longer we can get somebody to stick with their goal, obviously the better chance they have of getting to their goal.
Right.
Especially if they have 60 pounds to lose. It's going to take at least 6 months to get it off, if not 9 or 12, and then to maintain it, to learn how to deal with the chaos and the ups and downs, might even take longer.
Right.
You know what I mean? I mean, we're talking, it's been 16, 17 years since I've been obsessed with working out, right? Like, and so when it comes to like what we started measuring, we first started measuring visits per member. We started measuring highly engaged members. So what percentage of our membership was coming at least twice a week, right? Because there's some variation there that sometimes can get skewed, and so we use those two to flesh out what that looks like. That's our leading indicator of cancellations, the lagging indicator being the attrition rate. So then we started doing things like everything from events with the community. We started, which we found were great, but only our raving fans who are already raving fans were going to them, right?
Right.
Does that make sense? So wasn't necessarily helping with the attrition rate. The other things we started looking at was our sessions and saying, how can we make our sessions amazing quality, better quality? I mean, everything from the music got way better to the way we structured the workouts to the personalization and the connections me and my coaches would make. But it was tough. Like November, I cleaned house, kept one person. I think I had a staff of 5 or 6, and so we had to make the decision right then and there that we were going to go down swinging. We didn't really know what it was going to take. Obviously, things were on the downhill. Acquisition was still strong, but it didn't last forever, like it usually does, or like it never does. So, with that being said, like I changed probably 1,000 things to get to where we're at, and it's funny because it took a whole year for us to get down to that 2% mark. Because so really the gold standard is like 3% or less is amazing. If you can retain, if you can retain 97%, like you're doing amazing. It's really hard to do because basically all that is people moving. Right? I mean, like you're gonna have people move away. So now that we're like our 6-month average right now is less than 5%, it's like 3 or 4%. Now that we have those numbers to back it up and we know what to do consistently versus we had no clue at the beginning, now is when I've literally only just started putting the gas back on that position. So it was like the first year we blew up to 100 members super quick. Second year it was like lose 10, gain 10. Like we're, now we're still at basically right around, but it's just a way different environment.
Wow, it's really interesting to hear the data analytics background of that. That's really cool.
There's a lot, because you're talking, oh man, not even just the attendance, right? But we started doing things like, we kept doing 6-week challenges, but we started doing them internally. Because we tried everything when it came to results. So in my world, attrition has to do with experience and results. Okay, how great can we make somebody feel by the time they leave our sessions? And then 2 is, are they losing weight?
Yeah.
Did they join for a year and not lose a pound, right? Because there is a sense of like people value experience. I found they value experience way more than losing weight. Because we're talking people who have never felt comfortable in a gym, ever.
Yeah.
They've always felt like an outsider. They've always felt like somebody's staring at them. They always feel like they're clueless. They've hated working out.
Yeah.
And they're coming in here like feeling like family. Like Stacey King is a great example. She's gotten great results, but at the same time, she was like, this was the first time I didn't feel like a member, and I just felt like I belonged somewhere.
Right.
She's somebody who had weight loss surgery even, and so there are a lot of complications with that. And so, the data goes into what I was going to say was like our 6-week challenges. Now we have data to say what percentage of our members are highly engaged per the challenge standards. Week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. Where do people drop off? Because what we found was when it comes to results, there's something about doing challenges that like get people results.
Yeah.
Like, man, we set up these things where it's like,